Laurents do not create scandals. We control them. Those were the words Sophia Laurent grew up with. But this morning, her world shattered with a single photo, her, caught on a balcony with the billionaire best man, Ethan Cole. Headlines explode, whispers spread, and her father demands she cut ties before her empire burns. But what if the one man the tabloids call trouble is the only one who makes her feel like herself? Welcome back to The Velvet Story, where tonight we dive into chapters 24 through 26 of The Best Man's Vows, a storm of scandal, strategy, and a dangerous chemistry Sophia can no longer ignore. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss how this silent auction turns into sparks. Chapter 24. Tabloid Trouble. Sophia Laurent woke to the sharp vibration of her phone against the nightstand. At first, she tried to ignore it, tugging the silk duvet tighter around her shoulders. But the buzzing didn't stop. It came in bursts, relentless, one after the other. With a groan, she cracked an eye open and reached blindly for the device. The screen glowed like a spotlight in the dimness of her bedroom. 15 unread messages, 5 missed calls, 4 emails flagged as urgent. Her stomach sank before she even opened the first one. The link her assistant had sent led straight to the New York Sentinel Society page, and there it was. Heiress wedding planner and billionaire best man caught on balcony moment, romance or reckless? Her face, unmistakable even in the grainy image, tilted toward Ethan Cole beneath the strings of balcony lights. The angle was damning, his hand brushing hers, his body angled close enough to suggest things the photo didn't actually capture. The headline did the rest, splicing implication into fact. Sophia sat up straight, heart hammering. Her father's words from childhood drilled through her brain. Laurents do not create scandals. We control them. The phone buzzed again. This time, the name flashing on the screen made her close her eyes. Her father. She let it ring out. It rang again, then again. The third time she forced herself to answer, bracing for impact. Sophia. His voice was as clipped and sharp as the crack of a whip. Explain this. There's nothing to explain, she said evenly, though her pulse betrayed her calm tone. Someone snapped a photo at the party. It's gossip. Gossip? His laugh was cold. That photo is on every business blog before breakfast. Do you understand what it looks like? Days before a Laurent-hosted wedding with your client's best man? Sophia pinched the bridge of her nose, trying to summon her usual steel. It looks like a moment blown out of proportion. I was working.
You were leaning into him on a balcony. His disdain was palpable. Do you realize how quickly whispers turn into narrative? How narrative turns into reputation? Do you think investors in Singapore or Zurich will shrug this off as nothing? Father, no. His tone cut like glass. If you care about your company, about your future, you will distance yourself from this man, publicly, immediately. The call ended before she could form a reply. Silence pressed in, heavy and suffocating. For years, she had obeyed that voice without question. It had carved her into someone precise, formidable, untouchable. And yet, sitting there in her bedroom with the city stretching wide beyond the windows, Sophia realized she didn't want to obey this time. Not about Ethan. By the time she arrived at the wedding venue later that morning, the gossip had already spread like wildfire. Staff whispered when they thought she wasn't looking. A vendor offered her a too bright, pitying smile. Her planner's tablet buzzed constantly with updates from PR teams and damage control suggestions. Sophia's spine stayed straight, her heels striking the marble with steady rhythm, but inside her stomach churned. And then she saw him. Ethan Cole, infuriatingly unbothered, leaned against a column near the reception hall. His phone was in one hand, but the moment he caught sight of her, he slipped it into his pocket. A grin tugged at his lips, irreverent and warm. "Well," he drawled, "good morning, troublemaker. Looks like we're famous." Her eyes narrowed. Don't start. Too late, he gestured vaguely toward the hallway. You've seen the pictures. Honestly, flattering angle. They caught your good side. Her jaw tightened. This isn't a joke, Ethan. She set her planner down on the nearest table with more force than necessary. This could cost me clients, contracts. My father is furious, Ethan finished, voice gentler now. I've guessed as much. Her hands clenched at her sides. And you're not even concerned? No. He said it so simply it infuriated her. That's easy for you to say, she snapped. You're already powerful enough that no tabloid could touch you. Wrong. His tone sharpened, surprising her. I've been dragged through the mud more times than I can count. Articles painting me as a reckless heir, a careless investor, a man who doesn't take anything seriously. I've heard it all. And you know what I learned? She swallowed, caught off guard by his intensity. What? That the truth isn't something the world hands you. It's something you decide. Every damn day. He stepped closer, lowering his voice, though his eyes never left hers. So tell me, Sophia, do you want to cut me off to make him happy? Her breath caught. She hated the way her chest tightened at the question, hated the way her carefully rehearsed composure wavered. That's not the point, she said, but the words rang thin. It's exactly the point. His gaze was steady, searching, unyielding. Because I'll step back if you want me to. I'll smile, keep my distance, play the role. But I won't let anyone, not even your father, make that choice for you. The silence stretched. For once in her life, Sophia Laurent had no script, no polished response, only the sound of her heart hammering in her ears and the dangerous, thrilling realization that Ethan Cole wasn't chaos. He was clarity. And that terrified her more than scandal ever could.
Chapter 25. Midnight Strategy. Sophia Laurent was not used to hiding. Not from tabloids, not from her father, and certainly not from her own thoughts. Yet here she was, tucked into a corner of her own office at midnight, staring at a screen full of press clippings, as if sheer willpower could erase them. Every headline felt like an accusation. Laurent heiress loses her cool. Wedding planner or groom's competition. Sophia Laurent's scandalous balcony rendezvous. She clicked the browser shut before the bile could rise again. The office was silent, but for the faint hum of the city beyond the window. Normally, she found peace in this room. The sleek furniture, the organized chaos of color-coded files, the delicate fragrance of white peonies her assistant always set out. But tonight, the walls felt too close, the silence too sharp. A knock broke it. Her stomach twisted before she even turned. She didn't need to guess. Only one person knocked like that, confident, unhurried, as though he already knew the door would open. Ethan Cole. "You shouldn't be here," she said when she swung the door open. He leaned one shoulder against the frame, as maddeningly composed as ever. Midnight hadn't mussed him. His tailored jacket was casually undone, tie loosened, hair charmingly askew, as if he'd run his fingers through it too many times. He looked less like a man chased by scandal, and more like someone who had personally invited it to dinner. "And yet," he said with a slow smile, "here I am." Her glare lacked real heat. "Do you have a radar for when I want to be alone?" "Pretty sure it's called intuition." He slipped inside without waiting for permission, shutting the door behind him. "And I'm telling you, you're about to spiral into a PR nightmare if someone doesn't intervene." "I am not spiraling," she bit out, sinking back into her chair. "I'm strategizing." "Uh-huh," He strolled across the office and casually perched himself on the edge of her desk, nudging aside a stack of carefully aligned folders. "So, tell me, strategist Laurent, what's the plan? High out until the wedding's over? Deny everything? Release a statement about how I was helping you adjust your contact lens on that balcony?" She clicked a browser shut before the bile could rise again. Her throat tightened because she did know. She had weathered rumors before, but this felt different because for the first time, the scandal wasn't entirely false.
"Why are you here, Ethan?" she asked quietly. "Because," he said, leaning closer, "you're about 2 hours away from convincing yourself that you have to choose between me and your reputation, and I'm not about to let you make that decision without facts." Her eyes narrowed. "Facts?" "Fact 1, no headline lasts longer than a week unless there's fuel to keep it burning. If we stop feeding this, it dies." She crossed her arms. "And fact 2? Fact 2, you're not the only one with a name to protect." His gaze sharpened. "I'm not just some idle guest floating through your world. I own 2 companies that live and die by investor confidence. I've been on the cover of Forbes and the hit list of every gossip blog in Manhattan, and I'm still standing. So stop acting like you're the only one with skin in this game." She blinked, stunned into silence. Because he was right. She had unconsciously cast him as chaos, a distraction, a danger to her carefully built empire. But Ethan Cole was not just trouble wrapped in a grin. He was power, equal to hers, maybe even greater, because he wore it without letting it harden him. She hated how much that realization thrilled her. "You came all the way here at midnight just to give me a lecture?" she asked, trying for dryness, though her voice wavered. "No," he said softly. "I came because I know what it feels like to be cornered by expectation. And I don't want you sitting here alone, convincing yourself you have to be the perfect Laurent, when maybe, for once, you could just be Sophia." The air shifted, her chest constricted, her carefully drawn armor threatening to crack. "And what if being Sophia is exactly what ruins me?" she whispered. Ethan didn't flinch. He leaned in, so close she could see the flecks of silver in his eyes, the faint shadow of stubble on his jaw. His voice was low, steady. "Then let it ruin you, because the alternative is never living at all." Her breath caught. For a moment, the world outside, the headlines, her father's voice, the endless buzz of responsibility faded into silence. There was only him, and the terrifying truth that he saw her. Not the version she curated for the world, but her. She looked away first, heart pounding. "You're impossible." "Correction," he murmured, echoing their rooftop conversation with a glint of humor. "I'm patient." A reluctant laugh escaped her, and just like that, the crushing weight on her shoulders lightened. Not gone, but bearable. "Fine," she said, squaring her shoulders again. "Let's strategize." Ethan's grin widened. "Now that's my girl." And for the first time that day, Sophia felt something stronger than fear. Hope. Chapter 26. The Silent Auction Sparks. The ballroom of the Astoria Grand gleamed like a jewel box. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above silk-draped tables, and a string quartet played a lilting waltz that somehow made the clinking of champagne glasses sound elegant. Guests drifted through the space like a living gallery, sequined gowns, tailored tuxedos, dazzling diamonds that caught the light and whispered of old money. Sophia Laurent had attended hundreds of charity galas like this. Usually they felt like a stage she knew by heart. Smile, shake hands, drop a carefully chosen donation at the right table, smile again, walk away. She was good at it. The perfect Laurent daughter who balanced grace with corporate tact. Tonight, she was fraying. Not because of the gossip still buzzing faintly in the corners, though she caught the murmurs when she passed, and not because her father stood near the front exchanging pleasantries with senators and CEOs as if scandal hadn't brushed against his family name. No, she was fraying because Ethan Cole had just walked into the room, and he looked devastating. His midnight blue tuxedo was cut to perfection, his presence a quiet gravity that drew eyes without demanding them. He didn't strut, he didn't preen, he simply was, and that was more dangerous than any deliberate performance. When his gaze found hers across the ballroom, it was like being caught in a spotlight. Sophia's pulse betrayed her. She quickly turned toward the silent auction tables, pretending to study the gilded display of items up for bid. A signed Stradivarius violin, a week in a Tuscan villa, dinner prepared by a Michelin-starred chef in the winner's own home. Normally, she'd weigh the value against the charitable optics. Tonight, she couldn't even read the descriptions. "Careful," came a low voice at her shoulder. That frown could lower the market value of the Stradivarius. She didn't jump, though it was close. Ethan had appeared beside her, smelling faintly of cedar and something darker, more intoxicating. She forced her lips into a neutral curve. "Don't you have investors to charm instead of haunting auction tables?" she murmured, eyes fixed on the violin. "I'm charming someone," he said, tone light, but his gaze didn't leave her. Sophia's heart gave a traitorous lurch. She countered quickly. "And here I thought billionaires only bid on yachts and private islands." He leaned just enough to make her aware of his proximity without crossing any line. "Only if the yacht comes with a fiery business mogul who pretends she doesn't enjoy my company." Sophia exhaled through her nose, fighting the smile tugging at her lips. "Your arrogance is boundless."
"My patience is bigger," he returned smoothly. Before she could retort, a pair of guests approached, socialites she recognized instantly, notorious for sharp tongues and sharper pens in their anonymous society columns. Their eyes flicked between Sophia and Ethan with greedy interest. "Mr. Cole, we didn't know you were interested in fine violins." Ethan didn't miss a beat. "I'm not, but Miss Laurent was considering bidding, and I was offering my expert opinion on acoustics." The women tittered, unconvinced but entertained. How gallant. Sophia forced a poised smile, though her nerves sparked. Ethan was too good at this. Too quick, too disarming. He made the whispers sound like background noise instead of daggers. When the women drifted off, Sophia let out a quiet breath. "You shouldn't encourage them. Every word will end up printed." "Then let's give them something worth printing," he said easily, picking up the bidding pen. "How much do you think your father will scowl if I outbid the senator for the Tuscany villa?" "More than you can imagine," she muttered. "Perfect," Ethan said, scribbling down a number with a grin. Sophia stared at him, torn between exasperation and reluctant amusement. "You're impossible." "Correction. I'm strategic, just like you." Their eyes locked, and for one dizzying heartbeat, the gala noise faded. It was too much. His nearness, his warmth, the quiet certainty in his gaze. She tore her attention back to the violin, throat tight. This was dangerous. Too dangerous, and yet she couldn't step away. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of handshakes, polite laughter, and the constant awareness of Ethan's presence, sometimes across the room, sometimes at her side, always in her orbit. When the auction ended, Sophia realized with a start that she'd smiled more tonight than she had in weeks. Genuine smiles, not practiced ones. As the ballroom lights dimmed to signal the end of the gala, Ethan leaned close, his voice brushing her ear. "Midnight strategy worked. You made it through the night, no headlines collapsed, and I even walked away with a villa in Tuscany. Successful evening, don't you think?" Sophia's pulse tripped. "You're insufferable."
Patience, he reminded her, eyes glinting with something that made her breath catch. And then he was gone, blending into the crowd as if he hadn't just left her heart racing under crystal chandeliers. Sophia closed her eyes for a beat, steadying herself. She should be relieved the night had ended without disaster. Instead, she felt a dangerous truth bloom inside her. She wasn't just enduring Ethan Cole anymore. She was craving him. From spilled champagne to stolen glances on a balcony, Sophia and Ethan's world is colliding in ways no one planned. But with her father's shadow growing heavier and whispers of scandal waiting to strike, their fragile spark may not survive the night. Will she risk her future for the man who refuses to let her stand alone, or will family loyalty break them before they begin? Don't miss what comes next in The Best Man's Vows. Follow the Velvet story and turn on notifications, because the next chapter will change everything.